Spooktacular Stroll, CNY's not-so-scary Halloween experience for the family, is back. Walk through the half-mile trail in the Bewitched Woods at Long Branch Park in Liverpool every Thursday through Sunday in October from 5 to 9 p.m. Pack the car full of your little goblins. Admission is by the carload. Upstate Golisano Children's Hospital's Spooktacular Stroll is presented by Upstate Honda Dealers. Get your pre-sale tickets today at spooktacularstroll.com.
Steve being a jerk.
Listen, dude, we've been doing a show for 90 minutes.
I had a chance to listen to your last call. We game plan for PJ Hall.
Uncle. I have a list of guys I would never hang out with. Your name is right on the top.
Do you like the worst song bracket we're doing?
It's considerably better than the supplement bracket. Let's start with that.
I won a limbo contest.
Oh, my God.
Fran Brown joining us.
These guys are working their butts off. They expect to see that fan.
You want extra money just because you're North Carolina?
I'm in all right What an honor for you and Jordan to be next to me.
Every day.
This is Orange Nation.
There's music, there's fun, there's us. It's everything you could want all in one place.
With Stephen Fonte and Paulie Sibilia.
Good afternoon, everyone. Glad to have you with us. No Paulie Sibilia today. He's in Pittsburgh. Stephen Fonte, Jordan Capozzi with you up until 2 o'clock. We've got a couple of guests lined up for you. We've got our good friend Latavius Murray. He's set to join us at 1 o'clock. We'll check in with Latavius, find out what he's up to these days. Plus, he's got a food and coat giveaway in conjunction with the Food Bank of Central New York. He's going to tell us all about it coming up at 1 o'clock. Voice of the Orange, Matt Park, at 1:30. Plus, we mix in your phone calls throughout at 315-437-7644. Game day for the Orange. Big game, Jordan. And if they keep winning, the games are just going to keep getting bigger and bigger from here.
Yeah, I want to talk about the game. I don't want to go back to yesterday, but now I feel like I have to, because something that you and Paulie said yesterday got some of the Pitt fan base a little bit riled up.
Yeah, what was that?
You know, upon saying it, it didn't set off the alarm in my head. I have a pretty good alarm for, probably shouldn't say that. Oh, that's controversial. This felt like a pretty standard statement. But your guys' discussion on Pitt having an easy schedule, not playing anybody, prompted 11 bookmarks, first of all. If you don't know what the bookmark is used for on Twitter or X, that's basically somebody wanting to go back later when whatever you said is wrong and, laugh in your face. You got, over 20K views, but it's all Pitt people. And every other comment is, you guys lost to Stanford. Isn't this the team that lost to Stanford? So I did a little bit of digging on the schedules, and I want your thoughts on it. Syracuse and Pitt have comparable schedules according to ESPN's FPI. Pitt has the 103rd ranked strength of schedule in the country, while Syracuse is 105, actually lower. But then there's a strength of record metric, and that's essentially what's the likelihood that an average top 25 team has the same record with that same schedule. Pitt obviously 6-0, so they're going to get a little boost there because they didn't, lose to Stanford. ESPN's FBI has Pitt 9th in the country, saying that they have the 9th best, according to that metric. Would an average top 25 team have been able to do that? Syracuse is down at 31. So according to those metrics, Pitt has a tougher schedule and they've handled their schedule better. Looking at the games, do you agree with that?
You say they have a tougher schedule. Their schedule is the same, right? 103 or 105 is what you're saying.
Steve, it's 2 spots tougher.
And you're saying that, obviously with Syracuse losing to Stanford, they're going to be lower in that second metric that you put out there. I'll say this. Has Pittsburgh played anybody as good as UNLV?
It depends how much you call Cal's close losses, how much you take those into account. Because if you want to play the game where they could have won all those games, then there's arguments. I don't know what to make of UNLV. I think they're definitely
UNLV's
a good
pretty
team.
Good. Yeah,
I do too. It's still ranked right next to Syracuse.
And we're going to find out when they play Boise State. We're going to see how good UNLV is. I happen to think UNLV is the best team that either of these teams have played. And listen, by saying Pitt hasn't played anybody, I wasn't suggesting that Syracuse has played Alabama and Georgia. I mean, I get that both schedules have been on the softer side. I mean, again, we talked about that going into the season. Paulie would lose his mind right now and say hashtag easy schedule. But it's a fact. I mean, both of these teams have benefited from I don't want to say easy schedule, a softer schedule maybe than normal. Again, Pittsburgh has played Kent State, Cincinnati, who's down, West Virginia, who's down, Youngstown State, North Carolina, that's banged up, and Cal, that has a good defense and should have won the game but missed a field goal late. And again, not to say that Syracuse has played a bunch of world beaters, but they have played two teams that were ranked in the top 25 when they played them, in Georgia Tech and UNLV. And I tend to look at those two teams, Georgia Tech and UNLV, as two better teams than anyone that Pittsburgh has played. And listen, there's no comeback for the fact that Syracuse lost to Stanford. Yeah, Syracuse lost to Stanford. Unacceptable. Shouldn't have happened. Stanford's not very good. And they came out of the bye week. They started slow. They played catch-up the entire way, and it came back to bite them. And it came down to one play, and the one play went against them. Pittsburgh could be 3-3. Syracuse could be 4-2. This was not, in no way, shape, or form, was I comparing Pittsburgh and saying, well, look at SU's resume, it's way better. I wasn't suggesting that.
Which I know. Somebody, he had a solid following. Seems like he was mainly a hockey guy. He made that comment and screenshotted the Syracuse schedule and was like, they have behemoths on theirs. And that's the one thing that was goofy. Everybody was saying, look at who SU's played. That's not the point.
That's not the point. It's not the point. I mean, Pittsburgh is 6-0, and I think, we had a beat writer on yesterday from Pittsburgh. I said, how good is Pitt? And he said, I don't know.
Can I just say, if you listened to the Jerry DePaula interview yesterday, I respect the hustle. Normally you get these guys, they come on there and they're all gung-ho about their team, super positive. Jerry was keeping it real. I think Jerry was like, oh man, we usually are just all in on basketball this time. Now we're undefeated. I'm going to be covering both. Yeah. But that was interesting to me, a 6-0 team, and you're not going to get a lot of guys covering a team that's undefeated halfway through the season who are as, ho-hum as Jerry was.
Yeah, and I think he was just being honest.
Yeah,
and
which we
from
love.
the outside looking in, honestly, I don't know how good they are either. You got to give them credit for coming back and winning those games. We look at those games that they were down and we say they should have lost to Cincinnati. I mean, they were dead and buried in that game, and they made a crazy comeback and they won. And you got to give them credit for that. And they were down by 10 to West Virginia in the fourth quarter. And you got to give them credit for coming back and winning that game. Obviously, they get credit for that. But they were also, maybe a play away from losing both of those games. They were certainly a play away from losing the Cal game if Cal converts that late field goal. So, again, there's a fine line between winning and losing in major Division I college football. There's a fine line right now between being 6-0, 19th in the country, and 3-3, looking at, okay, how do we become bowl eligible type of situation. So that's all I was saying. I was not in any way, shape, or form comparing it to Syracuse, saying that SU's schedule is so much better, so much tougher, their resumes. It's not what I was saying. I tend to think, this is my opinion, Jordan, I think Syracuse is the better team going into this game. We'll find out tonight. They can't win in Pittsburgh for whatever reason. Can they change that? The players and coaches, the coaches especially, I asked Michael Johnson this on Monday when I saw him. We asked Fran Brown. They both said essentially the same thing. That has nothing to do with us. It's a thing of the past. These players don't really know about it. I mean, maybe, some of the veterans have been here for a loss or two on the road to Pitt. But for the most part, I mean, obviously they haven't been around for, 20-plus years. And when Syracuse last won at Pittsburgh, these guys, weren't even born yet. This has nothing to do with the current team. It's, the fans look at it and say, man, Syracuse can never win in Pittsburgh. I don't think this has anything to do with Fran Brown or these current players. I think they're looking at it as, hey, we've won back-to-back road games. Why can't we go down and win a third? And again, I said it yesterday. I just said it a moment ago. I will reiterate. I think SU is the better team. That doesn't mean I think Pittsburgh is trash. I happen to think SU is pretty good. Why are you laughing?
Because, you capped off the little mini rant with the word trash, which means they got you. They got you candid. You mentioned something that is obviously a storyline going into this game, Syracuse's lack of success playing at Pitt. And that's why I thought that a comment from Pat Narduzzi's press conference this week, it was a few days ago, but I thought it was very interesting this morning. He mentions the new staff, and he basically says it feels like they're playing this team for the first time.
I feel like we're playing Syracuse for the first time because it's a brand new staff. Obviously, first time playing him. Fran Brown, new head coach there. He's done an unbelievable job in such a short time. Been around some tremendous coaches, at some of the highest level of football as well. So he's done an incredible job.
The reason I think that's interesting is because if that's the mindset that he's given his team, I don't know if that's the right mindset. You've got recent success about this team that you own them, combined with the fact that Syracuse beat Pitt with Dan Villari at quarterback last year. I think that's the message you should be going with, is like, we own this team. They caught us last year with some razzle-dazzle, and it's time to take it back. I get what he's getting at, right? With it is a whole new team. We can't treat it like Syracuse, but I just don't know if that's the message that I would be going out with. And maybe it's completely different from what he's telling his team, but that caught my attention because if I were Pitt, I wouldn't want to feel like it's a whole new team. I'd want to use the momentum I have combined with the motivation from last season.
Well, first of all, I think you are the only person who would describe that offense last year that we saw as razzle-dazzle.
Well, it's razzle-dazzle when you're expecting, a quarterback to throw the ball down the field.
Maybe razzle-dazzle for like the first 5 minutes, but it became quite evident what the plan was that day, and they could not stop it.
Pitt's defense was calling it razzle-dazzle after.
8 total passing yards, Jordan, last year. 8. Almost 400 rushing yards. I have no problem with Pat Narduzzi bringing up last year and how embarrassing it was, right? I mean, that was embarrassing. They didn't have a quarterback, and they just took it to you. So, yeah, if you want to fire up the team, and especially the guys who are back, and say, okay, that is not happening again. In terms of the fact this is a brand new team, I mean, it is. I mean, you look at last year, as I just said, Syracuse had almost 400 rushing yards in that game. They threw for 8. They have a quarterback right now who is averaging 360 passing yards, right? Pittsburgh was 2-8 last year after losing to Syracuse. They are now 6-0 and in the top 20. Syracuse has a new head coach. This is a brand new matchup. It really does feel like 2 brand new teams. You look at the element that Eli Holstein has brought to Pittsburgh, his ability to throw the ball. He's thrown for over 280 yards per game. You normally think of Pitt as running the football and playing really good defense. They can sling it this year as well. And he's a true dual threat quarterback, and they can run it as well. So I think this is a matchup of, 2 really different teams than what we saw a year ago. And again, the whole thing about Syracuse can't win in Pittsburgh, that has nothing to do with these guys. I saw somebody in the chat say it's more of a fan thing. Orange Ohana said, I completely agree. I think the fans get caught up in that, and for good reason. I mean, the fans have been following this team for 20-plus years, right? The players and coaches, I don't think they got caught up in it because, frankly, they weren't here for any of it. And, maybe the players were here for a loss or two, but I think it does feel like these are 2 brand new teams. They're both enjoying success and let the better team win tonight. And again, I think Syracuse is the better team.
Now, before we hit a break, I want to ask your thoughts on one thing because you mentioned Eli Holstein. You score 17 points in a game. Safe to say he didn't have his dream game against Cal, but a big reason for that was that the entire left side of Pitt's line was down. Both of those guys are on the depth chart this week, Branson Taylor, Ryan Jacoby. As Jerry DePaulo told us yesterday, Pat Narduzzi's not going to talk about injuries. In fact, listening to the press conference, there was a point where Pat goes, Jerry. So you can tell. That's his vibe, as everybody knows. Do you think that if those guys play, that's going to be a big concern? I guess, should those 2 guys on the left side of the line not play? How much an advantage, does that give Syracuse?
It should. I mean, you hope that Syracuse can take advantage of it.
They like moving Diggs around so you can make sure that he's over in the weak spot, but then also you've got 2 interior defensive linemen out for the season. So, if those 2 guys don't play, then it's 2 banged up lines trying to see who can get the advantage.
Yeah, as you said, I mean, how big of an advantage? I don't know, because Syracuse has to be able to take advantage of it. And that's one thing that they have struggled with to some degree, certainly, has been putting pressure on the opposing quarterback. So it would help. I don't think that's necessarily going to determine the game. I think the game might be determined, unfortunately, with special teams.
Oh, you said
right?
Kickers.
That is a concern. I mean, I think Pittsburgh obviously has a huge advantage. Ben Sauls has not missed this year. He's 10 for 10 from field goals, 28 for 28 on extra points. He's made one from 58 yards. Dude's the real deal. And obviously, Syracuse's kicking game has not been reliable. So if this truly is a close game, you hope SU's up by 7 in the fourth quarter, not up by 2, because Pittsburgh has that ability to beat you with a kick, and hopefully it doesn't come down to that.
Do we want to go to our guy Mark for this break, or do we want to hold him?
We want to go to Mark. We don't want to keep him waiting. He's a good caller. Mark in New York City kicking us off today. Hey, Mark.
Hey, guys. How you doing? Jordan, love having you on the show. Always bringing the good vibes. Wanted to make a quick comment. And, Steve, I love your point about, this is a brand-new team we're bringing into Pittsburgh. This whole Syracuse team is vastly different. I saw a tweet floating around Twitter this morning that kind of went a little viral. The past Syracuse quarterbacks who started at Pitt since we last won there in 2001. I'm just going to very quickly read the list. Carlos Del Rio Wilson, Rex Culpepper, Eric Dungy, Zach Mahoney, A.J. Long, Ryan Nassib, Greg Paulus, Cam Dantley, Perry Patterson, and R.J. Anderson. But I just quickly took a look at the Pitt quarterbacks who started in those matchups, and some of the names I've seen is Nathan Peterman, Kenny Pickett, Tom Savage, Tyler Palko, Ben DiNucci. The big denominating difference there is Pitt had NFL caliber quarterbacks playing against our guys. Now we're bringing in an NFL caliber quarterback in Kyle McCord. So this is a very, very different team we're bringing into Pitt. And I think this is a brand, as Coach Narduzzi said, this is an entirely new team they're prepping for. And with Kyle McCord, I think this is going to change everything, and we're going to get our first win since 2001. Thanks, guys.
All right. Appreciate checking in, Mark. And, yeah, I saw that tweet as well, and it does. It stands out to you that, Syracuse had, Nassib and Dungy, I would say, are two, pro-level quarterbacks. Dungy never quite, made it. Nassib landed on a roster. I'm a big fan of Greg Paulus, but basketball was his first sport. They had two guys over that time that were legitimate starting quarterbacks, and Pittsburgh had, a half a dozen. And it's a stark contrast when you look at it. And Mark's right. Now they've got the edge at quarterback. Pitt's got the edge at kicker. Syracuse has the edge at quarterback, and you would much prefer the edge at quarterback with Kyle McCord. Let's take our first time out. 315-437-7644 is the number if you'd like to check in. Again, Latavius Murray coming up at 1 o'clock. Matt Park, 1:30. Back after this on ESPN Radio.
Don McPherson joins Brian.
I really liked that call from Mark because it was the ACC edition of dudes can sit around and name old football players for hours. He's like, Rex Culpepper, ooh. Zach Mahoney, ooh. Nathan P, ooh. Yeah, no, we're gonna need the three-peat. We're gonna need it. This is a massive game, of course. Can I please download these songs? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. This computer stinks.
We're doing a little Monica Boys and Men hybrid?
We are. We're doing both. We're either doing both or we're doing none. It depends on how the computer wants to play with me. Monica had 3 number 1 hits. I do not believe Steve is going to Pitt. Steve's going to be here tomorrow.
I'm not going to Pitt because it's during the week, and we sent Mario. I may be going to BC, but I'm here for the Pittsburgh game.
Maybe going to BC. Huh? Steve's just...
The weekday games are tough for me to go to, just given, obviously radio and TV.
I feel like Monica's going to be a super interesting vibe. Come on, give me the hits. If Dino was so great, why? Guys, come on, it's Pitt game day. We can't be arguing about Dino right now. We can't be beefing over Dino. What do you do about Desmond Reed?
His numbers are really good.
It's just like I I mean, much like you got to worry about LaQuint Allen, it's just the combination of the running and the pass catching that's like, I mean, look at the Holy Cross game. This defense is capable of losing focus. Just like Narduzzi talked about how you always have to know where Diggs is. Like, there's a little bit of worry that what if there's a moment or two that they lose track of Reed? Because he could just be anywhere on the field. Everybody's got to be ready at all times. I mean, Mumfried, their leading wideout, what is he? It's nearly 20 yards a catch, 6 games in. And there's volume, so it's not fluky. Tackling would be good. That's a great point, Pastor Tim. Yeah, that's true as well, Florida guy. Although we don't know. Like, is Pena, like, what's happening with Pena? Like, do we know? I don't know anything. I don't know anything. Do you think Pena's definitely out?
Do I think he's definitely out?
Yeah.
I don't think he's definitely out.
Okay. Like, I don't know. Because one thing, and I don't know if it was just like a slip of the tongue or it was on purpose, but there was no follow-up on it. In the quote, Fran Brown said, Pena will be off. So that could be interpreted as he might not be 100%, but he'll still be playing. And I'm still confused. Like, Marlowe's definitely not playing tonight. He's definitely playing against Virginia Tech, but he'll be back sooner than you think. Like, what does it mean? Give me words.
I think it's vague on purpose.
We don't know. All right, we can get into a little more. Oh, we can talk a little Luke Fennell here quick, and then we can get into more stuff. Unless you want to just keep going football, but I don't know a better time to talk Fennell.
Live from the Harding Mazzotti studio. Hurt your body? Call Harding Mazzotti. 1-800-LAW-1010.
Hurt your body? Call Harding Mazzotti is heat.
100.1, 1200 AM and 1440 AM. ESPN 97.7 and 100.1. Watch live on QSportsTalk.com.
Welcome on back in Orange Nation on ESPN Radio Syracuse and Utica Rome. Watch us on QSportsTalk.com. Jordan Capozzi in with Stephen Fonte as Paulie Sibilia is probably setting up a booth somewhere at Acrisure Stadium right now. 2 artists of the day today, because I'll do anything for you, Steve. Angel of Mine by Monica here. We'll also hear from Boys to Men throughout the show.
I love the dual artists of the day.
You remember that If You Give a Mouse a Cookie book?
Yeah, of course. I read it on a regular basis.
We did the combo show once, and I feel like a couple times since you're like, how about we just... But it's good. We need some
good
variety.
idea. Then you get the best from both of them, right? Instead of like the deeper cuts, you get the best.
Right. So. One of Monica's 3 number 1 hits.
All right. We can certainly talk a lot of football today, and we will, but there was a piece of SU basketball news that came down yesterday, Jordan, and there is now a 3rd member of the class of 2025 for Adrian Autry, Luke Fennell, 6'6" guard from down in Australia, turned down the likes of Louisville and Florida, St. Bonaventure, among others, and he's picking Syracuse. And again, joins Aaron Womack and Sadiq White in the class of 2025.
I'm not going to sit and pretend that I've watched a bunch of his tape or know a ton about him, but a few things stick out to me about this. One, after Marek Dolezaj was very successful at Syracuse, after this year coming into next year, another international player. So I like that. I like that Adrian Autry seems to be very interested in going everywhere for talent. I mean, you've got Alex Klein, a guy who's spent time in the NBA on the staff, and the NBA is dominated by international players. So I like that. I also like what Fennell said about his own game. He talks about Syracuse or getting a guy who can control tempo, control a team, be patient. I think like a Symir Torrance vibe, and they're obviously different players, but I think that's the role he could bring, where sometimes that offense last year was just go, go, go. Somebody's got to make a play, dribble drive, get to the hole at all costs. And especially with Kai and Anthony potentially coming to Syracuse, I like then having a more traditional set up the offense, control the game guard so that Kai can go off when he needs to. And then the third thing is just he's got a lot of experience playing international basketball in Australia. We talk about maturity with these teams a lot. This guy's been a part of different teams, playing for your country. They've won multiple events, the U20, U19 teams he's been on. So I think you're getting a very mature young man with good size and good basketball knowledge. You can't be mad at it.
I see Minnesota Dan in the chat says 2025 class is going to be huge. It's funny that he brings it up. I was talking with my son about that before the show started. We were talking about Luke Fennell, and you look at the fact they've got 3 committed already. We assume Cayenne's coming here, which would be 4. There's talk that Alex Costanza might come here, and that would be 5. Given this day and age we're in with the transfer portal and whatnot, I think a class of 5 or 6 guys, I think that's going to be the exception to the rule moving forward. I mean, they may have it next year, and it sounds like they're taking all talented players, and that's great. But I don't know how many classes. I mean, this year they've got a class of 2 coming in, and we're talking about maybe 5 or 6 coming in next year, which would make it certainly a huge class. I don't think that's going to be the norm moving forward, but that may be the case in 2025.
Yeah, no, I like it. I mean, we're looking at this team right now, and obviously there's a lot of guys who are going to be done after this year probably. So having guys who you trust, and you don't know what Fennell's going to do with his future, but you figure maybe there's a better chance of him sticking around for a little while and being a consistent presence on the team. He talked about how he's excited for the big lights, and he specifically mentioned he likes that the dome fits 35K, and I think it means there's a chance if he has a good season, he doesn't just dip, and he's looking to learn, and it's a developmental thing for him. So I like the addition, but obviously, we got a couple of big names we're waiting on. And then we got to see what happens with the portal, too, because they're going to bring in some guys from the portal, because that's the norm.
Right, and guys are going to leave, and maybe guys that you weren't expecting might leave, as we saw last year with Malik Brown and some of the others who have. I think he was the one that surprised people the most. But that's going to happen year in and year out, and so you've got to fill those roster spots. And I think there's got to be that mix between the portal and the incoming freshmen. And at least from an incoming freshman standpoint, they look to be in really good shape going into 2025.
Our Q Sports Talk chat is just obsessed right now with ray gun after hearing Australia and Olympics. The breakdance.
Oh, right. I was like, ray gun, yes.
You forgot about that?
No, I didn't. I forgot the name was ray gun.
How can you forget the immortal ray gun, Steve?
I remember the dance very well.
She made her own moves and went under heat. 2-second flashback to when I was watching that out there. I had never watched Olympic breaking before, and I was like, this can't be right. There's no way.
She can't be doing this right. She wasn't. She got 0 points.
It seems like she finessed her way.
It was a shutout
to the Olympics. Here's one thing I'll get going. Again, we're going to keep scouting the scouting report. We'll get to keys to the game and the match game a little bit later. I totally have the match game planned, if you're wondering, so don't ask any questions. But last time out for Pitt, Cal's tight end Jack Endries had a great game. I believe 8 catches, around 120 or so yards. And Pat Narduzzi was asked about what they're going to do to stop Oronde Gadsden and why they struggled against Cal's tight end last time out. And here's what he said.
Gadsden, presents the same issue, okay? And they got, problems all over the field. The biggest problem is when you don't do your job and you don't cover the guy, he's going to catch the ball. If you go back and look at that tape, I mean, the one time he went right down the middle and, we've got it busted coverage. Everybody else is locked down. It's like, why is someone covering that guy? Why is someone covering that guy perfectly? Well, there's nobody on number 3. Like, what happened? Okay, so we all know someone messed up, right? It's a coverage bust. And then there's some other times he caught one across the field where it was a scramble, where in a certain coverage he didn't pass it off. But, that comes down to pressure. I mean, a scramble, you got to lock on your guy, and we didn't lock on, and he caught one, coming out the back door.
So what I like about that is Kyle McCord has definitely shown the ability to extend plays, allowed his receivers to run the scramble drill. I mean, we've seen it to Hatcher in the back of the end zone. We've seen it to Meeks on third downs. So that's there. What I worry about is, are you going to get those Pitt defensive backs losing focus? Because obviously they don't have Haynes. If Trevor Pena doesn't play, that's one less guy to focus on. So if what Pat Narduzzi is saying is correct, it does concern me, Oronde Gadsden's ability to have a massive game, because they actually can lock in on him. And then, look, they've got a lot of great receivers, but the 2 main guys then are Meeks and Gadsden.
Well, Meeks is leading the team in receiving yards right now. We can't forget about that. So, I know that the Pena's number 1 on the team in receptions and by a wide margin, but Meeks has been great of late. Gadsden has been great. I think Umari Hatcher has shown that, he can make plays in spots, and so they may need to rely on him a little bit more if Pena doesn't go. The receiving options are plenty for McCord. Obviously, you don't want Trevor Pena out of this game. I think, the way that Fran Brown has been addressing Zede Haynes, I would assume you're not going to see him for a really long to me, that in my opinion, I think he's probably not an option for a while.
Yeah, because Fran's always willing, if he thinks there's a timetable, he'll throw it out there. I mean, 6 weeks from tomorrow, 6 weeks from tomorrow. I think the fact that he's not saying anything means, let up.
Yeah, right.
And I understand people have to ask about it every week.
He's basically saying stop asking, and I'll let you know. So I don't think you can even look at Zede Haynes as an option, but, if Pena plays, great. If he doesn't, I think you do feel comfortable with the stable of wide receivers that you have, and you hope that, listen, if Gadsden truly is an NFL talent, which I think we all believe that he is, he'll find ways to get open. And Kyle McCord, if we all believe that he's an NFL talent, and I believe that he is, he'll find ways to get around to Gadsden the ball. So, I'm not all that concerned. I mean, again, you obviously want Pena to play, but if he doesn't, I don't think that determines the outcome of this game. I don't think they lose this game because Trevor Pena's not out there. He would help. But I think they've got other guys who can make up the difference.
Not only that, and you don't want to go with something that you're not familiar with in a big game like this, but we heard a lot about Justice Ross Simmons when he committed. And this would be an excellent opportunity for him to step up, not only in a game where they need him, but then you build that momentum. And, how do you game plan against a team that has that many weapons? He mentioned Fran Brown did Emmanuel Ross stepping up too. So they've got the guys, just Pena can do so many things.
I know. And he's developed that chemistry with McCord. I mean, Kyle McCord looks for him. We talked about the fact that Syracuse is second in the country in third down conversions. They're converting 55%. A lot of those, we had video playing yesterday on Channel 9 of third down conversions. So many of them are to Trevor Pena, right? He just finds them in the slot, 6 yards, whatever it is, move right at the sticks. And they've got that chemistry, and that he's looking for him on third down or when it's a big play in the game, he's looking Trevor Pena's way. And if his go-to guy's not out there, it will take some adjusting. But again, I think Kyle McCord is good enough, and these receivers are good enough that they'll still be able to they still should be able to move the ball through the air.
I'll agree with you. How about, I want to pivot here. How about we do our keys to the game next? Maybe get a little more Narduzzi sound in. Move the match game to 1:15. Get today's business before the top of the hour. We'll come back and keep talking SU football, but I think I want to move the match game back a little bit.
All right, we can do that. Again, Latavius Murray coming up at the top of the hour. Matt Park 1:30. We'll get to our keys coming up next on ESPN Radio.
LeQuint in the slot is interesting. LeQuint. We haven't. How much have we seen that sort of thing this year?
What's that?
We've seen LeQuint lined up at wideout. Has he played much slot? He met Davian Kerr as well was mentioned. Q Forn. Because that's one thing. If you trust Kerr, you almost go with him. Do you want LeQuint, who you might have to rely on, returning punts? That's going to be a glorious sound clip, Mike B. Sorry, everybody. Okay, that's a thing. Okay, we got that Monica song. Do we try to alternate, or do we go hour 1, hour 2? Because Monica's got 3 number 1 hits, so we could go 3 Monica songs first hour and then go straight from boys to men.
Okay.
But also we could do a little alternate job. Sure. The people need to know all about my Facebook. But don't go back and search my memories, dang it, because I go back and I delete my Facebook memories every day religiously. Yeah, no, it's a great point, Minnesota, Dan. The passing offense essentially is the run. What did he have, 9 catches against UNLV? Maybe maybe, was he in double digits? I don't remember, but no, LeQuint's bringing the heat. I'll say what we don't necessarily see from LeQuint in like breakaway speed and like the big plays, you make back in being able to do a little bit of everything and move the chains. And I think that's a good thing because when you have a Kyle McCord, like the big plays will come. Alfie can... Alfie. Max Mang game? All right, Q4 for it. How am I supposed to say that, man? Q4 earn 4-4. Corn? No, it can't be. I don't know. I'll be right back. The Valari game. Hey, why not?
What's up?
I've been in business in this community for over 35 years. I am here today. I will be here tomorrow. If you have ordered a bed elsewhere and it has taken far too long to come in, bring your receipt to Mattress Express. We will meet or beat the price on the same or comparable bed to get it delivered quickly.
Why is it Monica Day? Like I'm trying to figure it out. Oh my God, is it her birthday? Okay. Well, there we go. We have an answer.
Is it?
It appears to be her birthday. Monica is one half of today's Artist of the Day on Orange Nation. Welcome back. Thanks for listening on ESPN Radio Syracuse, Utica, Rome. Watch us on QSportsTalk.com. Jordan Capozzi here with Stephen Fonte on a game day. Syracuse, Pitt. Make sure you're locked in all day long. We'll have Newhouse afternoon coming up next. Cody Mack's sports show at 3, and then at 4:30, we've got our game day coverage with Brian Higgins, Mike McAllister coming up for a 7:30 kick. Monica's birthday, game day. What a day, Steve. What a time to be alive.
What a time to be alive. It's and this does have a big game feel to it, as we've talked about throughout the week. And again, if they keep winning, these games are going to get bigger and bigger. And, you know, we're at the halfway mark. It seems strange to be talking about, you know, ACC championship game scenarios, but you win this one tonight. If you win this one tonight, I think you can legitimately start having that conversation about what else needs to happen. And really what else needs to happen is they need SMU to lose a game, and then essentially they would control their own destiny, which, again, it's crazy to talk about, but if they win it, if they win tonight, I think it's a legitimate conversation that you can have.
I don't want to go that far, Steve. It might just be because I finally lost in my EA Sports College Football Dynasty that I stream on Q Sports Talk.
Who'd you lose to? You lost to Pitt?
I play the games as they go. I threw 2 pick sixes. So Pitt's leader in tackles on the season in real life, Donovan McMillan, had 2 pick sixes. I'm not going to blame it on the vacuuming happening right behind me in the room I was in, but I'm also not going to pretend it didn't happen. Home field advantage means a lot.
Did one of the receivers miss the audible or something because of the vacuuming?
Yes, yes. Everybody was rattled. The head coach was rattled. Receivers were rattled. Pitt's got a lot going on. But if they're going to win, we're going to tell you how. It's keys to the game time, Steve. It is time for keys to the game.
Yeah, I know you and Paulie like to have fun with the play on words and whatnot. I mean, for me, I think, you know, getting off to a fast start is essential in this one. So, no hangover in this one coming out of the bye week. We saw it the first time around against Stanford. They got off to a slow start. I don't think it was a coincidence that they got off to a slow start coming out of the bye week. They were down 10-0. They were playing catch-up the entire way. Yes, they took the lead very late, but it came down to one possession, one play, really. Stanford made the play. Syracuse didn't. And Stanford picked up the win. I think they got to learn from that this time around. I mentioned that I spoke with Michael Johnson, co-offensive coordinator, on Monday for our Orange Nation TV show, and I asked him about the bye week, and I said, were there any changes made? And he said, we've worked harder. He's pushing, Fran Brown is pushing everyone harder. And so, when we asked Fran, he kind of downplayed and said, no, we really haven't changed anything. And I don't know that they changed anything in terms of, the routine or the protocol. I think, but he got the guy's attention. He said, listen, look at what happened the last time around. Can't have that this time around, especially on the road, especially against an unbeaten team that's in the top 20. Pittsburgh is better than Stanford. You can't afford to fall behind by 2 or 3 scores tonight. So I do think that it sounds simple, it sounds obvious, but I think it is essential that they don't get off to a slow start tonight.
I like it. I don't really have a catchy name for this one. I don't know, maybe like a line them up and knock them down. I think Paulie would probably say, get to Holstein as fast as a Panther. Waka waka. But I think the defensive line is going to be key, whether or not Pitt has 2 backups tonight or whether they have their 2 starters back. Holstein was not himself against Cal with those 2 guys out. Only a 50% completion percentage, by far his lowest quarterback rating of the season, less than 150 yards passing. And whether or not that line is healthy, I think maybe this is the game where you see what Holstein's done throughout the season. Maybe you don't have to do the 3-man rush all the time. Maybe you do some crazy things, give Justin Barron a chance to be able to be everywhere on the field so they can't find him, and you can get to the quarterback. Move Diggs around wherever the weak spot is. But I think this is a game where if Syracuse is going to find success defensively, Cal was kind enough to give them the recipe. You've got to make the freshman Holstein have to make some tough decisions and just hopefully rattle them a little bit.
I had that exact key in my News Channel 9 keys to the game. My headline for that was Hurry Holstein. I did the alliteration there. But same idea, right? I mean, you want to get to him, you want to pressure him, you want to make him uncomfortable. He is a redshirt freshman. He's having a great year, but if you force anyone into quick decisions or making decisions quick, like any of us, even in life, force somebody to make a quick decision they're not ready to make, sometimes you make mistakes. And if Syracuse can do that, hopefully they can win the turnover battle, because I think they're going to need to win the turnover battle to win this game. It's important anytime you play on the road, but I think this one in particular, especially given the discrepancy in special teams, and that's my last one. I think SU's going to be able to move the ball, so I didn't really go to the SU offense. I know Pena's a question mark, but I truly believe if he plays or doesn't play, I still think the offense is going to be okay. I think this game may come down to special teams, and that concerns me given that Pittsburgh's got one of the best to do it in the country in Ben Sauls. Syracuse has been shaky at best when it comes to special teams. I think if Syracuse can make special teams a wash tonight, I think they win the game. If they make some mistakes or if, Pitt makes a couple of 50-yard field goals, it probably swings the other direction.
All right. I'll just give you one more. We don't need 3 because our guy Chuck in North Syracuse seems like he has his own key to the game. But it's get a read on the situation. And I already said this earlier, but Desmond Reed. Syracuse has struggled to stop the run at times this season, and Desmond Reed ran for over 100 yards in that game last time out against Cal. I almost start saying last week, and it was 2 weeks ago, so I resort to last time out. Forgive me there. 3 of the 5 games they've recently played Pitt, 100-plus rushing yards. 2 of them over 100 receiving yards, including 155 11 catches against UNC. You're not going to stop Desmond Reed entirely by any means, but half the battle is knowing the situation, knowing where he is, not letting him get loose. You can't have those holy cross plays when you have a guy who's proven that he can do it and he can do it from wherever on the field. So that's what I'm looking for. They've got to stop Desmond Reed.
And that's another reason why they can't fall behind. They can't get off to a slow start because you've got a guy, and this kind of ties in with what we're going to get to with Chuck and North Syracuse here. They've got a guy who can control the clock, right? He's a guy who can move the ball on the ground and can dominate when it comes to rushing yards, and he is tough to stop. And statistically, he's 3rd in the ACC right now in rushing. So, again, just another reason. They all kind of tie together, right? It's another reason you can't fall behind in this game because they can just give it to Desmond Reed and really control things from there. Let's go to the phone lines along those lines and bring on Chuck in North Syracuse. Hey, Chuck.
Hey, my key would be time of possession. And we have been terrific with time of possession this year, especially, I think, in home away games. If we can just limit the time Pitt is on the field to try to score, even if we give up a play here or there, if we've got the ball and McCord can convert those third downs and we just keep the ball, and, just chug down the field, score when we can, and not leave any points left on the field. Just take everything we can get. I think they should be good.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, Syracuse has been very good in time of possession, and they've put together some long drives, Jordan. They've put together, 12, 13-play drives where they're converting a lot of third downs, a lot of third and shorts, staying ahead of the chains. Fran Brown was asked about third downs at his press conference the other day, and he said, my hope is that it doesn't always come to third down, but they've got one of the best in the business to do it if it does come to third down and it's third and manageable, and Syracuse has done a nice job staying ahead of the chains, not picking up dumb penalties so that it's like third and 15. A lot of them are 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6, and you've got a quarterback who has proven that he can absolutely convert those on a regular basis.
Before we get to our break here, I know we're a little behind, but let's get some of the chat's answers. We have rely on McCord's arm, Pitt, from Alphabet Guy, because it has Pitt in it, so that's how it works. Kev from El Pool with don't fall into the pit. That's good, because if you fall in, you can't play football. CJC split Pitt. He also has pulverized the Panthers. And then we have a lot with a word that begins with S that I'm not allowed to say, but you see where we're going there.
Yeah, I've used that in the past. Avoid the pitfall.
Oh, okay. Mike B, after Pitt chokes, give them the Heimlich maneuver. Very wordy for a button indeed.
Avoid the pitfall doesn't really work with this because that's more so like if you're favored or if you're the better team. You want to avoid the pitfall. Pitt's a good team and they're favored for a reason. I do think Syracuse is going to win this game. Let's take a quick timeout. We'll get to Scooter on the other side as we wrap up hour number 1 next on ESPN Radio.
Q Sports Talk.
There we go. We'll get back. We'll have about 4 or so minutes with Scooter. We'll do the match game at 1:15. Match game can be today's business if need be. Pit stop to the college football playoffs. Okay. We like it. What's shaking? Oh, yeah, no, we got to wait. Now, the big thing is we have Latavius Murray at 1. He'll be on VMix, by the way. Are we going to be able to reel in Scooter in time? That's always the question. Because we can't. The old bait and switch. Yeah, we're talking with Ashton Genty coming up, Scooter. We got to go. Wow. Well, I was really wrong about my Yasin Willis thing.
What?
He had -5 yards, which is not 20% of LaQuint Allen's. Are we going absolute value? SU players over 7.5 receptions. 2? Oh, that's 1 for me. Sorry, I'm match game grading. Forgive me. Barron with a sack, Grant with a sack, Diggs with no sacks. The field wins. Good job, Stephen Fonte. More NC State 30-plus yard receptions or Syracuse interceptions. Well, Syracuse had 1 pick. NC State had 2 receptions over 70 yards. Score 1 for Pauly. Concepcion and Jolie over under 99.5 yards. That's under. Man, Pauly 8. Turnovers, block punts, kicks for SU, miscues. There weren't. Yeah, there were none, right? Did they miss a kick? Am I forgetting? Sorry, I don't mean to ignore you. Every time yeah, they knew Yasin Wilson the game. We got to get ready for him. They didn't miss a kick, right? There were no special team snafus really against NC State, were there?
I don't think so. No, they were good.
But it was turnovers plus blocked whatnot. So the turnovers, none. Oh, looks like I don't think that was a closest to. We're going nobody. Jaden O, 40-yard field goal attempts. Long was 32. Where was the miss? I'm forgetting about this. We missed a kick. Oh, he did miss the 43-yarder. Good point. It was TD. I'll give the boys the point at 1. But he did attempt one over 40. So bang, boom, bop. Unders, NC State over under. Ooh, Steve, you really tried. Remember you fought for the push?
Yeah. For what was the topic? Remember me?
You wanted the Wolfpack to have exactly 24, and we argued over your multiplier bonus.
Right.
Yes. Yes. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4. 17. 1, 2, 3, 4. One. Oh, hold on. I'm getting confused. Oh, we still have some time. 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna call it 5. 27. 1, 2, 3, 4. 22. Sure. It's like around the horn. Like, who really knows how the match game is graded? Isn't that the mystique? We need a pit 6. I like a pit 6. I saw the Marcellus Barnes pit 6.
ESPN 97.7 and 100.1. Watch live on QSportsTalk.com.
Closing out hour number 1 of Orange Nation. Appreciate you listening on ESPN Radio Syracuse, Utica, Rome, and watching us on QSportsTalk.com. Monica, one half of our artist of the day. This her longest charting number 1 hit, The Boy Is Mine, with Brandy. Happy birthday, Monica. We move on to Boys to Men in hour 2.
All right, and right now we move on to Scooter in Jamesville. He's going to have the last word in hour number 1. Hey, Scooter.
Hey, guys. First of all, Jordan, are you going to have your onesies on the call-in show, or it's actually undefeated?
Oh, no. Scooter, I forgot the onesie. I didn't even think about the onesie. I think Brian's picking up dinner for the crew on his way home, so maybe I can have him stop by and grab the onesie. But
what if we lose? We lose with no Lincoln Blaine then, right?
Yeah, I guess that's a positive. Now I feel bad.
Yeah. Listen, you guys are talking third down conversions. That's great. My point is, what are we doing on first and second that we always have to be in third down? And that's my point, is that when we were doing the Georgia Tech game in Ohio, we weren't in third down situations a lot because we were picking up a lot of first or a lot of yardage on first and second. And that's what that was my concern, was it's the amount of third down situations. Converting is great, but if you look at probably you take the NC State game and and add up the third down situations, that's a lot of times that we have to overcome third down. So what's happening on first and second? Do we have to be in third down all the time?
Yeah, I mean it's a good point that you brought, and I know you brought that up earlier in the week, Scooter, and it's a valid point. You don't want to be facing as many third downs as you do, and we'll see if they make any sort of adjustments tonight. And I do think that it's going to be interesting to see whether or not Trevor Pena plays, because if it does get to third down and your main go-to guy's not there, who's he going to look for? But as I said earlier in the show, I tend to think they're going to be okay moving the ball. I tend to think they're going to be able to have success on offense tonight, whether Trevor Pena plays or not.
Yeah, and see, I can understand if we're the infant 3 yards in the cloud of dust, where we're constantly running. And if you look at the military, Army, Navy, especially Army, watch Army, they're always in third and short because they basically that's their style. They just run the ball. Where we have the ability to stretch it vertically, and that's my point. It's like I just don't understand. We're starting to throw these short passes on first and second, and I think that's why we're in third and we have to pick it up. I just wish we start extending the field like we did the first 3 games of the season. And, you go back to the UNLV game. The first 2 drives were like blink, up 14-0. And then at the end of the game, it's like, man, we got another 3rd down we got to overcome. And nobody talks about the 3rd down against UNLV where they actually sacked McCord, but they got the face mask. And that's when UNLV had all the momentum in the world. And I just hope it doesn't come down to where, we always have to constantly be in 3rd down situations. That's, stretch it vertically, score and not have to worry about 3rd downs.
Yeah, and some of that is, can you run the football effectively? And Scooter, as always, we appreciate the call. And, through the first part of the season, Syracuse was having trouble running the football effectively and consistently. The other thing is, too, you don't want to stretch the field too much because, obviously if you're taking 30-yard shots downfield on 1st down, it's incomplete. Now you're 2nd and 10. And, there's obviously a place and time for that. You don't want to be too predictable. But I get why the short passing game has kind of been their bread and butter. It's been effective. They've got a lot of different weapons, and Kyle McCord has been able to pick defenses apart like that. But yeah, they are living dangerously to some degree. I don't know if you can expect to convert 55% of your 3rd downs for an entire season. I don't know if they can continue this clip. It's been very impressive what they've done to this point. But to Scooter's point, Jordan, you want to be you don't always want to be going to 3rd down.
Yeah, you want to be ahead of the chains, but also I do think that part of it is you want to give McCord chances to make those big plays, and 1st down, you could argue, is the best time to do it because it's not an obvious situation. So there's a little bit of give and take, but yeah, I think that's a fair statement, is that you don't want to be on 3rd down every time. Although it does help with time of possession.
Yeah.
Shout out North Syracuse Chuck.
I will say this. I think Jeff Nixon has done a great job coming in here and, designing an offense that is effective and catering to his NFL caliber quarterback and Kyle McCord. They've got the personnel, they've got the weapons around McCord, they've got the play caller in Jeff Nixon, and things are humming right now. And again, the one game that they lost, that wasn't an offensive thing. It came down to one defensive play. It didn't go their way. And, if not for that one play, you're talking about a 6-0 team that's probably in the top 20 as well.
All right. Can you handle this interview? I've got to drive to Camillus to grab a Christmas-themed onesie, or else Syracuse is toast tonight.
You're not going anywhere. But you have plenty of time. The game's at 7:30. We get off the air at 2. You can figure it out after the show.
That's a good point. I do generally just sit here
I didn't mean it
after
like
the
that.
show. And you cropped me out.
No, that never happened. We're going to get to our good friend Latavius Murray on the other side. We kick off hour number 2 next on ESPN Radio.
315 with Brian Higgins.
Can you see if he's up?
Oh, what's up, Devin? Yeah, we're here. Guys, I'm going to go out and check on something. Note, Brian's not going to have his normal show, so there's almost 80 of you in here. Watch the new house show. Watch Cody today. And then come hang and wait for Brian pregame. But if you guys are missing Brian, you normally tune in for Brian, and you're going to miss him today. Watch some of the other shows. They appreciate the comments. Cody loves talking about anything in the calls. But watch everything today before Brian.
Get the home field advantage every time with Fairfield by Marriott, official hotel partner of the NCAA. Whether you're a student athlete working toward your championship dream or your team's biggest fan, Fairfield by Marriott has everything you need to get ready for game day. From comfortable guest rooms to complimentary hot breakfast, Fairfield is part of the Marriott Bonvoy portfolio of hotels and official hotel partner of the NCAA. Visit fairfield.marriott.com to book your next game day stay.
Hi, I'm Nick DiCarlo, sales director for the Nye Automotive Group, and Dan has me on a secret mission to find more inventory to fit everyone's budget. Well, I'm taking off now. I'll let Dan take it from here. Dan, you there?
Hello, Central New York, your favorite car guy here. I've been getting so many requests to get little Nicky off the air. Don't tell him that, though. That I had to send him on a wild goose chase to find more inventory. So until he returns, I'm making all the decisions. And let's be honest, when my team calls me, they get the deals that typically don't make sense because, well, I want volume. And to me, that makes the most sense. So this month, I'm discounting everything we have in the lot. That, combined with over 40 lenders, loyal
trade appraisals, the only winners will be you, Central New York. You're the winners. When you come see why it's got to be nigh. Good credit, bad credit, or no credit, we have many options for you. So do me a favor. Don't just see why like my competition says. You have to come see why it's got to be nigh before you buy it. NYAuto.com. That's NYEAUTO.com. We're only 30 minutes from Syracuse, Utica, and Rome. It's worth the short drive.
Hi, my friends. I am Kelly, owner of San Miguel Mexican Bar and Grill. Skip the flights south of the border when amazing Mexican cuisine is right here in Baldwinsville. Mexican recipes taught to us by some of the best people I know. Tacos, burritos, fajitas, enchiladas, and let's not forget our award-winning drinks. Margaritas, sangrias, palomas, and our signature cocktails. Make every day Taco Tuesday and become part of my San Miguel family
No.
today.
I'm happy I filibuster with some today's business stuff in between, but if he doesn't hop on, do you want us to
Call him, or should we hold out?
Well, so,
One of our competitors has filed for bankruptcy. Please do not confuse that company with my company, Mattress Express. We are your solid, reliable, local hometown mattress store.
Oh, Steve, we might have to end the show with "I'll Make Love to You." Is that okay?
no, I'll pick a different one.
It's their biggest hit.
Nah, we don't need
It's their biggest hit. You didn't even know that song.
I did.
No, you're not a real Boys to Men fan. You're like, what is this song? Oh, we're not gonna have it in time. We're not gonna have it in time.
How much time till we come back?
We got 45 seconds. I was talking about Boys to Men. Oh no. Oh no. Guys, it's not loading. Okay, guys, don't get mad at me. I'm going to throw another promo in. We got him. We're not going to have this song. It's not loading. Oh, we have a chance. We have a chance. We got him. We have a chance. Please. I threw a 15-second promo in. Please. Please. We need it. Oh, gosh. Oh, gosh. Panicking. Oh, we're panicking. Oh, I'm a human. I've downloaded 4 of these. Stop yelling at me. Oh, crunch time. Oh. Please.
Watch your favorite ESPN Syracuse sports talk shows on QSportsTalk.com.
You know what's always great, Stephen Fonte, to start hour 2 of a well-prepared radio show? Just, a little bit of dramatic silence as we switch artists of the day, because we're going from Monica to Boys to Men today on Orange Nation. Appreciate you listening. ESPN Radio Syracuse, Utica, Rome. This one on Bended Knee.
Boys to Men, one of my favorite groups growing up. With that, we go to our guest line, and as promised, so pleased to be joined by a good friend of ours, Latavius Murray, joining us here as we kick off hour number 2. Tay, always great to have you on. How are things going?
Going good. Still in Buffalo, just hanging out with the family. Spending time back in Syracuse when I can still. So,
we still have you there? Are you with us, Latavius?
Did you hear me?
I think we may. Oh, okay. We got you now. We got you. I thought we lost you.
Yeah.
We got you back.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. Okay. I got you now. You said you were in Buffalo. I guess bring us up to date. We'll get into the coat drive and all that here in a moment. But since you brought up the fact that you're still in Buffalo, bring us up to date on what's going on football wise. Are you still training? Are you still looking for a new team? Where do things stand right now?
I'm still training. I'm still looking. But obviously, right now it's getting into week 8. Heading to week 9 soon, and so. But I'm staying ready for that opportunity, staying prepared. I've been training, and so I'm hoping that happens. But, if not, that's fine too, man. I played a really long time, very fortunate, and also excited about the next chapter, and I do feel it's only the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, you said you played a really long time. You did. I mean, you defied the odds when it comes to running backs. You played for a decade in the NFL as a running back. You played well into your 30s, which, virtually never happens. When you reflect back on your career, can you, I guess, appreciate everything you were able to do and everything you were able to accomplish?
Yeah, I am. It's obviously tough. It's tough when the season doesn't go the way you want it to, or I guess even right now, right? When I want to be out there and I want to play, those are the moments that are tough, when the things don't go the way you want to. But if you truly look at the body of work and the body of the whole, my career in itself, a lot to be grateful for, a lot to be thankful for. And that's what I'll remember for sure the most.
You mentioned the next chapter, and I know that part of the next chapter, and maybe a big part of the next chapter, includes the John Diaz Community Center, and we can get into that. What is the next chapter for Latavius Murray, whether it's, football being done this year or next year, or at some point the NFL is going to be in the past for you? What is the next chapter for you?
Yeah, I'm not sure fully, but yeah, it definitely is going to start with me finishing, getting this community center off the ground and running, and continuing to help out the youth. I think I can give a lot back through my experiences, not only through pro level, but collegiate and high school. And so I definitely want to continue to impact my community there in Central New York. And then obviously I live in Orlando in the off season, and that's home, and want to continue to impact the youth down there. And so, but we'll see where that takes me. But my number one goal is obviously to complete the John Diaz Community Center and get those open.
How are things coming with that? I mean, where do things stand? I know we had the big gala, back in the spring, and you raised a lot of money that night, and I know that's a big push for you right now. Where do things stand with the fundraising, and how are plans coming along?
Yeah, things are going really good. We in the process of waiting to hear back from some grants that we've submitted, and hopefully we get some good news with that, which would significantly put us over the hump. But still fundraising, still have to complete the plans for inside. But for the most part, I think we're in that fourth quarter, as we mentioned. But it's just kind of wrapping up those last, donating, fundraising dollars to get this a shovel in the ground, and then the work continues when doors do open, and as far as programming and the resources we want to provide.
In the meantime, you are still doing some great work in the community, and you've got this coat and food giveaway coming up essentially a month from now. Today's the 24th. It's November 23rd, so we're just about a month out from this coat and food giveaway that you've got next month. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, just wanted to do something outside of the gala, and I just thought, look, it's getting chilly. I'm outside right now, and it's a little cold, but trying to provide coats and some food giveaways to those in need and in the area. So on September 23rd, we'll be in the Valley Plaza from 10 a.m. to 12, and we just want to support the families in Syracuse and continue to make a difference, and hopefully just help if that is one family, a couple individuals, couple youths. Just trying to change and make it better for everybody. And so we'll be giving away free coats, brand new coats, and we'll be giving a food giveaway as well, care package, as we partner with the CNY Food Bank.
Yeah, great event coming up. New coats for children ages 3 to 12, one coat per child, limit of 2 coats per household. Again, that's coming up November 23rd at the Valley Plaza. I know, Latavius, that giving back to your community has been really important for you and to you since day one, with the various, football academies that you've put on in this area. And I feel like you're always giving back no matter where you end up NFL-wise. You're always in this community. What has inspired you to do that? Who inspired you? Is it, a certain player who inspired you to do that? Is it family? Is it somebody in this community? Why is it such a priority to you?
I think, I'm sure. Again, when I met players that I looked up to growing up, whether that's just at Syracuse or I ever met a professional player, I knew the difference that it made on me and the impact that it had on me. And I think I just want to reciprocate that feeling. I think it's important that I try to. And so that's why I take a lot of pride in coming back, take a lot of pride in being present, being visible, because I know what it did for me. And I hope that it could do the same for somebody else. And like I said, if it is just one person that I'm impacting, then, you know, how cool is that? And if it's more, then, you know, love that. So definitely just know that it makes a difference, because I felt that difference.
I asked you a few minutes ago about reflecting back on your playing career and being satisfied with what you accomplished. And, you know, I want to go back to the gala back in the spring. You had several players with you on stage, and we were talking. And, you know, one by one, they all kind of said the same thing about how you are so well respected and you're a great teammate. And, you know, they've learned from you, and they look up to you. And is that almost more important to you than the touchdowns and the yards and the longevity in the NFL? The fact that you went about it the right way, and you've been a good person every step of the way.
Yeah, it is. Well, I think at the end of the day, right, football's not forever, and I think it's obviously a great thing to be remembered for what you did on the field, but I think what holds a bigger value is what you mean to people individually and personally. And so, I hope that I've made people feel the right way. I hope I've done things the right way when people encounter me, teammates, coaches, because it's bigger than football, and I think it always has been for me. And so I think that's another part of being excited for the next chapter, because I never wanted football to define me, and so it's going to be the new start of that. So yeah.
Well, football's given you a platform, and you have made the most of that platform. And I've said this to you before. I've been doing this 25 years. I've been in Channel 9 25 years. You are truly one of my favorite people that I've met. You know, not even athletes. One of my favorite people that I've met along the way in doing this. And this community is so blessed to have you. As we kind of wrap this up, Latavius, just remind people, how can they get involved? How can they help out the John Diaz Community Center and everything that you've got going on?
Yeah, so they can log on and go to the jdccenter.org or the CNY Food Bank website, and there'll be a link to donate coats or money, if you will, and or there'll be a link to register for a coat for those families. So, hope everyone shows up, take advantage, right? The more, the better. We want to try to help those that need it.
All right, again, that coat and food giveaway, it's set for Saturday, November 23rd from 10 a.m. to noon at the Valley Plaza. Keep up the great work, Latavius. All the best to your family, and hopefully we'll see you here in Syracuse in about a month from now.
Appreciate you, Steve. Thank you.
All right, appreciate you. Latavius Murray joining us here on the show. And with that, we will hit a timeout. We'll open up the phone lines for one more segment at 315-437-7644. We do have to get to the match game next. We've got Matt Park coming up. Lot to do here in hour number 2. Back after this on ESPN Radio.
Let's go! Gameday Radio.
Coverage of Syracuse football is brought to you by William Mattar and the Marriott Syracuse Downtown. We are the pulse of the orange.
I will make sure that we get that sent over to you. I mean, come on, computer. Oh. All right, well, this just isn't trending in the right direction. I can't see the chat, everyone. I'm sorry. I can't do anything.
Man. Chat's still not loaded. Okay. Cool. Hopefully this link is at
Can you
least
kill the voice
right.
for 1 second? As much because of how much time he's missed.
Yeah.
I think it's partially like you can't play in the Olympics and be like, yeah, I'm not doing anything.
Yeah, that's true too. It was. How could he have gotten injured in such a short time? I guess is the question. I don't know. You guys want me in here for this, right? Not you.
Come on, reading. You sick? I won't bite. We want you on. We want you on camera. There you go. It's better.
My mom will be very happy.
All right. We have stuff.
Someone's on the phone.
Yeah, that was my bad. I shouldn't have thrown the
I don't care. We can
phone number out there. I realized we had match game after I said it.
Yeah, it's fine. We can take a quick phone call. I'm not stressed over it.
I can't believe the Sixers signed Paul George. Or acquired him.
Say that again?
I can't believe the Sixers acquired Paul George. I just think that's a wild decision to make.
Oh, yeah, dude. It's Ryan in Virginia. We can make time for him.
Can you guys send me Latavius when you get a chance?
Mm-hmm.
I'll use that on the news tonight. And you don't have to be worried about cropping out because on the air we never put the question. I just did that on Twitter because
I think you should do it again.
never again. Never again.
All right. Look, Dirk. We'll have other day. You can blame me, okay? I could have picked Lincoln Park, but I was hosting with Steve today. I felt the pressure.
QSportsTalk.com.
We are back on Orange Nation on ESPN Radio Syracuse and Utica Rome. Boys to Men, the second half of our Artist of the Day for today. That's just because on this day in 1992, End of the Road tied Elvis Presley's Don't Be Cruel, Hound Dog as the longest running #1 single. Would eventually fall to I Will Always Love You by Whitney Houston. That record would.
Kevin from Liverpool in the chat asks if Syracuse wins tonight, will it be a record to beat 3 ranked opponents in one season? Last time it happened was 1998. Donovan McNabb's last year. They did beat 3 ranked opponents during the regular season. So yeah, not a record, but it's certainly impressive. And to do so, to get another one on the road too. I mean, Paulie and I were looking at, the last time they've won 3 road games. You got to go back a decade plus, 2012, 2010. It doesn't happen all that often around here. Before we get to the match games, get a quick phone call in. Ryan in Virginia up next. Hey, Ryan. Ryan, are you with us? I think we lost Ryan.
Ryan, what are you doing, buddy?
All right, Ryan, call back at the end of the show if you can hear us, because we've got match game, we've got Matt Park, and then we can sneak you in around 1:50 or so.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to the match game, Jordan.
Oh yeah, let's get to said match game. Little update from last week. Paulie and I came out with 5 points. Steve, you got 4. Paulie has a 5-point lead over you in the season-long match game.
I got to stop doing dumb things like asking for a push and getting 3 times my money.
No, we love...
Bad decision by me.
No, we love multipliers, Steve. We love multipliers. All right, let's start here with Trevor Pena potentially out of tonight's game. We still don't really know. There's a chance for 2 Syracuse receivers who haven't done anything this year. Emmanuel Ross, Justice Ross Simmons, to make an impact. So I'm going to ask you and Mike, who is in for Paulie, who's probably at Acrisure Stadium setting up a booth.
Hello.
How many receptions will come for Syracuse by a player with Ross in their last name?
Man, that's a good question, and I think whether or not Trevor Pena plays is a key piece of information that we don't know. I'll say 2.
So does this get nulled if Pena does play?
No, I think it's still stand.
No, you got to hedge your bet.
Ooh, man. I'm gonna go with 4. McCord likes to share the sugar.
Okay. This is no. I'm going 1. I'm gonna go 1 here because just straightforward. I don't think either of them have done much.
So do you get credit for 0 then? If it's 0, do you get the point?
I mean, we generally have been going closest to correct.
All right,
but
that's codes, as my kids would say.
So if it's 3, then we win and you lose.
That's true.
That's what I'm understanding.
Yeah, that's true. And
Or
if it's
Paulie.
4 or more, then it's all you.
Oh, man.
I'm in a bad spot with 2.
I got good numbers right here.
I'm in a bad spot with 2.
I'll be more specific in the future. I'll be more specific. All right. Spoiler alert for a later question, but the Vegas line, at least the one on ESPN Bet, has this total at around 62 with the spread. It suggests Syracuse will score around 28. Before we get to that, how many touchdown passes will Kyle McCord have? Vegas is predicting about 4 total touchdowns for Syracuse. I don't think they're predicting any field goals.
I'm going 3.
I'm also going to go 3.
That's really boring because that's what I kind of wanted to.
All right, well, that's
go
it.
with.
That's part.
Isn't that like what we're shooting for?
When we first started this, that was the goal, was to all match, so we could go whoa.
We've grown.
Can we get a whoa? We need some energy.
Now it's become like a competition.
I think Jordan's made it a competition. This was just friendly banter between friends, and what does it become?
It's a double whoa. All right. Pittsburgh's running back, who we discussed earlier, Reed averages about 140 yards from scrimmage per game. I'm going to set his line at 139.5, and I'm going to give you a straight over-under.
Yeah, it's got to be under to win this game, I think.
I agree with that, but I think there might be a really good chance it'll be over. I know that's pretty high yardage, but I'm going to go over.
If he goes for 150, I think Syracuse is in trouble.
I just want to try to mess up Paulie's numbers as best as I can.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
That's so rude. I'm also going to go over. I do think it'll be tough for Syracuse to win the game with that, but I think he's the one guy who they're going to make sure whether they have to run it with him or throw it to him, he's going to have a lot of action. So I'm going over there. I don't know what that means. Is that a wow? 2 people match? I don't know.
We could throw in the Tim Leonard whoa. Doesn't he have one there?
He has a wow.
Oh, wow.
That was his wow.
Oh.
Mike's not wearing headphones.
Oh, I can't hear.
No, it's okay.
He can't hear
Headphones are overrated. All right, Syracuse gave up passes of over 70 yards to multiple different receivers against NC State. What I'm going to ask you here, and it's a real fun prop bet if you're on the books, who will have the longest play from scrimmage in tonight's game? Will Syracuse or will Pittsburgh have the longest play from scrimmage? Does not have to be a touchdown. It is from scrimmage, though, so kickoff return, we're not counting that.
I can go first if you want.
Are we giving a person's name, or we're just saying Syracuse or Pitt?
I was going team.
You're going team. Okay, all right. That makes it a little easier.
I think Pitt. I think their defense tends to give up some big plays throughout the game. I think Pitt's got a good chance of popping one off. I still think Syracuse is going to take it, but I think Pitt's got a better chance of getting the longer play.
I think we might see a trick play from one of these teams. I think this is an enormous game for both, and if you've got one in your back pocket. I was listening to an interview. I don't know if you guys watched SVP last night, but he had Jared Goff on, and they talked about how they practice trick plays during the week, and then as it gets closer to Sunday, they decide on which one or two they're going to use, and the guys get behind it. I feel like if there was a week to have one of those in your back pocket, it might be this one.
That doesn't help you at all, though.
No,
you said one of the teams might run a trick play.
I know. I don't be surprised if they win. Syracuse is going to have the longer play from scrimmage. As you can tell, I'm all in on SU winning this game.
I see that, yeah.
So my answers are going to be skewed in that direction.
That's fair. As you'll find out, I think Syracuse has a good chance. I also just have seen too many big plays to not go with Pitt here.
Okay.
Last one before we get to the usuals, because Steve, you said earlier that you think the turnover battle is going to be crucial. Pitt has 5 interceptions on the season, 3 recovered fumbles, so they're getting about a turnover a game. I'm going to give me a spread on the turnover battle. So I'm not just asking who wins the turnover battle, but I want to know by how much.
Syracuse wins it by 1, and that decides the game.
Pitt wins it by 1.
You could go push here.
Yeah, I feel real.
Smart money's probably on push.
No, I am going to go push because you guilted me after the first
How did
one.
that work?
So now I feel like I have to go in the middle. Well, I'm just going to go with it's even. I'm just going to go with it's straight even. All right, now let's get to the usuals. Aside from the backyard brawl between West Virginia and Pitt, which had almost 70,000 in attendance, Pitt has been getting somewhere between 44 and 49,000 people in the stands. This is not my area of expertise. So I'm going to set the line at over under 48K because it's a big game. Syracuse is going to travel. It's after the bye, but it's also on a Thursday night. 48K would be their 3rd most attended game this year. I think the Thursday will have something to do with it. So I guess I'm just going over under 48K. If that's a really bad line, let me know. But
I have no idea.
I'm not a stadium expert.
I don't know.
Well, if it was a weekend game, I think it would smash that. I think it would be for sure and over. I think, as you alluded to, this is massive for both teams. Yes, this is an away game for Syracuse, but it might as well be a game across the street. Pittsburgh's 5 hours away from us. As you said, Syracuse can travel. But it being Thursday, that's hard, man. I think it might go under.
I'm going to go exactly 48,000. I'm going to go. No, I'm kidding. You looked at me like, for real?
You win the match game forever if it's exactly 40. If I hear about that, I'm driving to Pittsburgh and diving into the stadium at the last second.
I'll say it's over. I always take the over on attendance because I feel like numbers can be inflated.
They would love it if it was over. So.
Sure.
I feel real bad about going over here, but I have a lot of faith in the Syracuse fans' desire to travel to these games, and I also think after the bye, it's going to be coming out with a bang, the fan base. And also just based on everybody mad at our tweets, I think they see this as a pretty big game, so I'm going to go over 48, over 48K. And then real quick, we're going Pittsburgh over under 34.5 because Vegas total projects them to be at about 34.
These last 3 are going to be easy for me. So I'm going to go under for Pitt.
Oh, he's going straight.
I'm going to go over for Syracuse.
That line is 28.5.
And I am going Syracuse covers, and don't be surprised if they win the game.
All right, Mike. Pitt over under 34.5.
I hate to piggyback what just happened, but I agree with everything Steve just said.
But you... Okay.
You didn't ask for logical answers. You asked for answers, Jordan.
Yeah, no, you're right. And in the spirit of the match game, you know what? Give it a clean sweep. I'm doing the exact same thing. Pittsburgh under 35 points, Syracuse over 28 points, and Syracuse to cover. And don't be surprised if they win.
That was the voice of Matt Park. We will hear from Matt Park live from Pittsburgh on the other side. We're back after this on ESPN Radio.
I'm holding out for Card Sharks. Come on, Card Sharks. Card Sharks. Dang
No, didn't get that.
The 315.
I wanted card
Then we
sharks.
stalled.
I wanted card sharks. 48,123 and a half. Oh, the old half person. Ollie is there already. I think he's setting up. I don't know. I'm not an attendance expert. That's the next person we need to. Oh, dude, I'm playing. Oh, I turned it off. Okay. I mean, I want card sharks, man. Why did I put like all 13 minutes of the match game in there? Were we really doing that segment for that long?
Well, we took a phone call that wasn't there.
Well, I know, but I just mean like in the past when we used to get card sharks. Steve, you love your swinging safari, don't you? Steve, I got a real kick out of when on Tuesday's show, Fran was like, Steve, you better ask Adrian Autry all these same questions. I thought that was really funny. All right, so you didn't want to end the show with "I'll Make Love to You." I'm assuming it has to go here, right?
No, don't give it to me. Give me. You can go Motown Philly here.
That's not even the #1 hit.
I need Motown. The whole reason I picked him was for Motown Philly. That's my song. So replace "I'll Make Love with You" with Motown Philly then.
Well, no. If we play Motown Philly here, then we're getting rid of either. I don't know, it's all gone. It doesn't matter now. It's I can't see anything. Well, we're getting rid of, what is it, One Sweet Day or My Sweet Day or whatever that one is, because we have to play the song that got us to this artist of the day. Thanks, Kev. I appreciate card sharks. Steve, I don't think it's anything personal. I just think, sometimes you hit them with the hard hitters. Now, you did start your call with, I've got to give you credit. You guys punted the ball with 2 men protecting, so it does work. So maybe he took that as a little bit of a jab. You know who would actually be good to ask? I feel like, I don't know if he'll know. I almost want to ask Matt, like, what do you expect this game, the attendance to be? How long has Pitt been at Acrisure Stadium?
Well, they've played all, it used to be Heinz Field. They've played all these.
Okay.
They played all these games there. This streak is at that stadium.
That makes sense. I just got totally confused because I forgot they changed just the name,
right,
not the stadium.
Used by adults 21 years of age or older.
So that would be a valid question, potentially, to ask them. Like, how are these games normally attended? It's not exactly a football school, but it's a big game. So hard to no. We've got to end with with the song. Come on, you know the do end of the road. Yeah, we got to end. That was my end of the road impression. Yeah, thank you, LA Orange. And then look, because you guys, hold on, LA Orange. I'll try to get something more upbeat for tomorrow. But here's the thing, right? We go with something upbeat. If the game doesn't go the way we want, then we're going to hear like Uptown, Funky Up, and you're just going to be all mad. So, it can go both ways, right? Oh, we should call Luke the Big Fennel.
Yankees on deck gets you ready for Yankees baseball from 6 p.m. to first pitch. Tim Leonard will give you the latest on the team, pitching matchups, lineups, and more. Yankees on deck, 6 to 7 on ESPN Radio Syracuse. Watch your favorite ESPN Syracuse sports talk shows on QSportsTalk.com.
Yo, fellas, y'all ready to do this?
What's up, guys?
Motown Philly by Boys to Men. Steve's pick, Boys to Men, one of the artists of the day today, as we heard Monica earlier. Appreciate you listening on ESPN Radio Syracuse and Utica Rome. This is Jordan Capozzi. That is Stephen Fonte, voice of the Orange, Matt Park, coming up to preview tonight's Syracuse Pitt game.
This song came out in April of 1991, freshman year in high school. This was my favorite song. This is why we had to have Boys to Men as artists of the day today. When it's a choice, you got to pick them. Matt and I are about the same age. Let's bring on the voice of the Orange, Matt Park. I don't know what music he listened to in high school, but this takes me back to high school, Matt. How about you?
Yeah, I don't know. You're more of a city guy.
Yeah.
Steve, I was out in the country. I don't think we listened to a lot of Boys to Men.
Okay, that's fair.
Or maybe somebody did, but I don't know that I did.
Gotcha. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. All right, let's talk some SU Pitt football. And, so much has been made about this losing streak at Pittsburgh. What do you make of it? I know it doesn't apply to this team or this coaching staff. A lot of these players haven't been around. But what do you make of, 10 straight trips to Pittsburgh coming away empty-handed?
Well, it's obviously not good, particularly because these programs are closely aligned, and it really should never be that lopsided. That said, Syracuse had a long run of winning against Pitt just prior to that. So that's what's interesting about this one is there's been kind of long streaks between the two, and I guess it's the way it goes and kind of the cycle of, I want to say even out, but we know over the last 2 decades it hasn't been very even. So I don't think it has anything to do with the stadium, really. I don't think there's a whole lot to it. I think Syracuse, a lot of times has been, for whatever reason, has been outgunned in coming here, and it all is kind of a backdrop to this being a different story. At worst, this is a fair fight tonight and 2 good teams, and it might be 2 teams that are very near the top of the conference race when all's said and done. Still a little bit to figure out. And Syracuse is better now than they've been really in any of those other times. Certainly has a better quarterback than they've ever brought here before. So let's see when it plays out, and they'll take their chances tonight, I know.
You said 2 good teams, and I think you're right. I mean, certainly, Pittsburgh must be good. They're 6-0, and they're ranked in the top 20. You look deeper, and I know that you have, and, you see a game against Cincinnati that they were very fortunate to win. They had to make a mad comeback in the fourth quarter. They're down 10 to West Virginia in the fourth quarter. They come back and win. They benefit from a missed field goal from Cal to win that game. Could be 3-3, or anywhere in between. How good do you think this Pitt team is?
Yeah, and again, that's why they play the games. I think tonight will tell us more about it. You don't have to give those games back, when you win close. Sure. We've all seen that, and if you've followed sports for any period of time, even if you do have an allegiance to one team or program, you know that you get some of those and some you don't, and you don't apologize for the ones that bounce your way or close out. Certainly if Syracuse, we all know about the one blemish on the season. Had you won close against Stanford, you'd feel awfully good about it and wouldn't be turning it back. So, Pitt's done the right things when it's come down to it. I think that type of deal, evens out your point differential and all of that. They're not dominating anybody, but they fair and square are undefeated, and I think you bring the test. But we're going to see a game here in the fourth quarter, I think. So then it comes down to the experience for me of closing out those types of games and making sure you do the right things with the clock and maintaining the possession, the type of things that you need to do to win a close game.
Yeah, special teams are always important in close games, and it seems like, on paper anyway, Pitt's got a major advantage in the special teams with Ben Sauls, and obviously SU's kicking game has been shaky. How much of a factor do you think special teams is going to play in the outcome of this game tonight?
Well, I think it could, because certainly, again, when teams are evenly matched, you look at maybe is there an area where they aren't, and they probably aren't evenly matched in special teams. And special teams, because it's only 6 or 8 plays in a game, they could be 6 or 8 really impactful plays. Obviously, you can't continue to think you're going to win games if you're getting punts blocked. I said before on the show, and I'll say it again, if I'd be really surprised if they have another issue with that before the year is out. So that's not good, obviously. You got to move on from that. I think the You got a really good punter for Syracuse and a really good kicker for Pittsburgh. So the individual specialists are strong, and then it becomes a matter of the operations. And I think between special teams and then a turnover, one of those two things is really what's going to make the difference in this game.
One of the question marks heading into this one is the status of Trevor Pena. It sounds like his availability tonight is very much in jeopardy. If he cannot go, what does that mean to the wide receiving core? I mean, obviously Kyle McCord's got a plethora of options, but what does that mean if Trevor Pena can't be out there?
Well, to me, the biggest thing that he brings to the table is the assurance of somebody along with Gadsden. You have two guys who get open a lot and are really good sure-handed options on third down. Excuse me, they catch what's thrown to them and are in position to keep the chains moving. They're not necessarily always the biggest play guys and that type of thing, but there's options. I think Pena's moving along here. It's been a while since that last game, and I know one of his biggest attributes obviously is his toughness. So we'll see in terms of how they line up tonight. But if for whatever reason he's not 100% or not himself, then you got to go to something different, and they have other options. Obviously Jackson Meeks has been great, and Mari Hatcher's had his moments, and LaQuint Allen is a passing threat, and those types of things. So I think they just kind of move on and figure it out as the game goes. This offense has been taking what the defense gives throughout, right? And that's one of the stories of the success. And so maybe it's just one of those things where you let the circumstances dictate who's in there and who the ball goes to.
Jordan was talking attendance in the last segment. Pitt is an NFL town. It's a pro sports town. This is a big game for their college team. What is the atmosphere like? You've attended, obviously, quite a few games inside that stadium, Heinz Field, now Acrisure Stadium. What is the atmosphere like for a Pitt-Syracuse game, and do you expect it to be a little bit more amped up tonight, given the circumstances?
Yeah, I'm certainly hoping for that. I don't know if you can absolutely expect it, because I haven't I don't think maybe we have been here for a weeknight game. I don't recall that. But I think for me, to see that being 6-0 and a Thursday night standalone game, this should be the best shot. It feels like the weather's always been crappy when we've been here. Today it's beautiful, it's crisp, but it's nice, and it's in the fall, and this is what football looks and feels like. This is a community that loves football from high school on up to the Steelers. So I'm hoping this is the highest attendance of any game that Syracuse has played at Pittsburgh and in its facility. Anytime in these NFL stadiums, here they've done a model job. It's better than anywhere where it's a sharing, because it feels like it really is an even split here for the most, as close as it can be, to even. Obviously, the Steelers run the place, but Pitt and the Steelers have a very close relationship. They've almost literally split their facilities down the middle and that kind of thing. You just never on game day feel like it's the biggest thing going on in years past. So they've never really packed it. If the stadium holds 65 plus, whatever that might be, it feels like there's 45 to 55,000 at a Pitt game, and you just don't get the full buzz. I do hope tonight is closer than it's ever been.
We've had a few callers bring up the possibility of an appearance in the ACC championship game, and I think, to this point, at least for me, I'm kind of like, that seems like a stretch. If they win this game tonight, though, Matt, is it time to start at least looking at that as a potential option? I know some things would have to break, right? They would need SMU to lose. They would have to obviously run the table and beat Miami, and all of those are big what ifs. But if they win this game tonight, should fans, I guess, allow themselves to start thinking like, okay, this is actually possible?
Well, I think fans want to be like that, want to be optimistic, want to think of what's the greatest thing that can happen, and sure, I think it certainly is closer than it's ever been. I'm not one myself to get looking ahead on that, and even people at the start of the year, they're going to win 10 games this year. And my feeling is, let's have them have 7 or 8 or be on past that before we start worrying about 10 or undefeated and all that kind of thing. same thing really with the conference championship, but it's there for a reason. I think the fact that the CFP has expanded has given everybody renewed interest in the competitiveness of conference and national races. And obviously the team itself has done very little to dampen any enthusiasm here since the start of the year. So with a win here tonight, you can at least start to see a path. You're in the mix, right? It beat Syracuse Pitt with, obviously with the Orange at that point having a head-to-head victory over Pitt, then SMU, Duke, and of course Miami. And Miami looms because we all know it's the last game of the regular season at the Dome. So I think by definition that one has always been in the building. And Miami, if they're putting up 50 points every week,
right.
They've obviously got some capability. It looks like they're going to do their part, although they do have Duke ahead and that kind of thing. So I think that's kind of the collision course that you're looking at. To me, there's still a few more things that need to fall into place for it to be super serious, but it certainly is fun to think about.
Yeah, all right, that's totally fair. We'll ask you one basketball question. I know you're all in on football at the moment, but we won't speak again until the first exhibition game. And I know you'll be back for that. I mean, what are you going to be looking for courtside when you see this team take the floor for the first time?
Just in terms of how they kind of play together, it's new pieces, so to what degree do they mesh? And when I have been out there to see them, that to me has been interesting. I think Jaquan Carlos, that's what he's here for, is to kind of hold all that together and move things along, move the offense, distribute the ball. So, we're looking to Saturday's game. To me, it's about the cohesiveness of everything. I'm not going to care that much about how well Chris Bell shoots it because we know he's going to. I don't care that much about J.J. Starling and what he does because we know about what he's going to be for the year. But how much do they throw it into Eddie Lampkin? What do they get out of Donnie Freeman, for that matter? Stud freshman, first time under the lights. There's a reason you play those games. And let's see, for them how it works. So that's what we're looking forward to. And, all of those games, each time out, obviously we can make new interpretations about what's going on. But it is exciting to watch.
All right, basketball takes center stage Saturday afternoon. Tonight it's all about football, 7:30 kick out there in Pittsburgh. We can't wait for it. Have a good call, Matt, and we'll see you when you get back.
Okay, thanks, Steve.
All right, voice of the Orange, Matt Park, joining us here. With that, we'll take our final time out. We will wrap up the show next on ESPN Radio.
Sorry, I totally bailed on you.
No. It's all good. I just didn't know if you wanted to.
Oh, no.
I didn't want to steal your question.
No, you're good. I was thinking about asking about it.
Question.
The only other thing I thought about asking is what's good with the 3-man rush, but got some stuff to get ready for Newhouse, and then we got a real tight choice here for. I'm trying to go more upbeat tomorrow. Do you want some potential options ahead of time, or do you want to be surprised?
Surprised.
Okay.
I'm all about being surprised.
Okay.
Surprise is my middle name. Paulie always says I cheat when I ask ahead of time.
The big surprise, Stephen Fonte.
I love to be surprised. Surprises are
good. That's fair, Prince Odie. Guys, it can't, there have to be artists who actually have something that happened on that day. So I can't just pick anybody. I think I've got some good choices. I do. I think I do. We did Taylor Swift a few days ago. She has something every day. No, Taylor Swift has two things. Hey, a very popular, a very popular, well-respected artist scored his first #1 album since 1997 on tomorrow's date in 2006. Here, take a guess who it is.
I wasn't listening. What'd you say?
Oh, just a very popular, well-respected artist with a lot of buzz right now. Scored his first #1 album.
His first.
1997, yeah.
A lot of buzz.
Yeah, a lot of buzz.
1996?
In 2006, he scored his first
2006.
#1 album since 1997. So he broke a 9-year streak.
So, and he's still popular today?
He's in the news.
Oh, he's in the news.
Yeah.
Not for a good reason? It's not.
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay. I was like, why would you even bring him up?
That's what I didn't say is I'm more so just making light of the fact that Billboard's like, hey, or song facts. All right, so we're gonna have to run through 2 calls in 4 minutes. We'll make it today's business. And yeah, no, we'll be good. I got my options.
Our amazing selection and lease your 2024 Subaru Crosstrek for just $299 a month at Romano Subaru, Hiawatha Boulevard West in Syracuse. Offer RRB 1 for 36 months, $49.95 total down, plus first payment and DMV fee, 10,000 miles per year, 15 cents excess mileage fee. Must be approved Tier 1 through SNF. Shop 24/7 at RomanoSubaru.com.
Ever feel like saving money is a challenge? Life can be hectic, but at the Dollar Investment Club, we put you first. Your work, your livelihood, it all starts with you. Pay yourself first with a professionally managed investment account designed just for you. Here's how it works. Call or get started at
Okay.
Set up an account linked to your bank.
Okay.
Decide on an amount that you want
Okay.
each month. Think of it like paying a bill to yourself.
Oh, I was supposed to do something else.
Then watch as our specialized team at the Dollar Investment Club systematically grows your savings through strategic investments, harnessing the power of compounding. Set, save, grow. It's that simple. So dream big for retirement. Visit dollarinvestmentclub.com to begin your journey towards a brighter financial future and harness the power of compounding. Advisory services through Lee Baldwin and Company.
Oh, little baby Ryan's gonna say some ska. I love it, San Diego Cuse, but also I can't find 7 ska songs. The end of the road, indeed, wrapping up Boys to Men and Monica Day on Orange Nation. Appreciate you listening on ESPN Radio Syracuse and Utica Rome. Before we hit the road, we got to get to today's business, brought to you by Grossman St. Amour CPAs, GSACPAs.com, expert accounting firm right here in Syracuse, New York. Today's business is going to be a couple of callers to end the show. Talking Syracuse, Pittsburgh, and we're going to start with Ryan in Virginia. Ryan, what's good?
Hey, Jordan, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. It didn't work earlier, but we got you back. We appreciate you returning.
Hey, no problem. Yeah, I just got to say, after hearing that political hit ad against Paulie Sibilia yesterday to end the show, I couldn't help but think that a Jordan Capozzi, Stephen Fonte 2024 ticket, I'd take that ticket over either of the choices we have right now.
Kind of you to say, Ryan. Kind of you to say. What do you got? What do you got in your mind?
No, I'm juiced for this game tonight. Last I checked, I saw partly cloudy skies with a 100% chance of physicality. This is going to be a Northeast old school football game. Take your lunch pail to work type of football game. Roll up your sleeves and get dirty in the trenches type of game. With that, take the under. 62 points is way too high. And I know we haven't won at Pitt in about 20 years. But here's the thing. Fran Brown wasn't there any of those 20 years. For the first time since 2001, we've beaten 2 ranked teams in the same season, and the season's only halfway done. Syracuse is going to win this football game tonight in the trenches. There's going to be a big turnover on defense. Fadil Diggs is going to live in the backfield. May God bless you both. May God bless Syracuse football. And may God bless the United States of America.
Great stuff, Ryan. Appreciate the call. We got to get to our next one. Tony in Syracuse up next. Hard act to follow. How are you, Tony?
Yes, it is.
funny, though. So my keys to the game is I think the rest of the season, Syracuse has to score over 30 points. And then I'd like have the ball last. That would almost guarantee, I think, an SU victory. Steve, real quick, we're on a bus trip going somewhere back in my days of playing Ludden, and one of the players decided to play Burning Down the House really loud on the bus. That did not go well with my coach, who was previously your coach. You can imagine how that went. And then one last thing. I'm just curious what you guys think. So these targeting plays when guys get concussions and all of a sudden the offensive player's out, obviously the rest of the game, and the defensive player gets tossed. But then obviously the offensive player has to go out through the protocols. I know it wouldn't change, but wouldn't it be nice on some of these really vicious ones that are are intentional, that maybe that player gets to have to sit out as long as the offensive player? Go Syracuse, and hope I get to talk to you tomorrow.
All right, Tony. Appreciate you checking in. Hopefully,
that's a hockey thing.
Hopefully
that's a hockey thing.
Yeah, I was going to say, hopefully it's not intentional. You hope that those things aren't intentional. But good call from Tony. Good call from Ryan.
That would be interesting. Okay, real quick. Tomorrow's Artist of the Day, giving you 4 options. The Rolling Stones, Paul Simon, Elton John, or Aerosmith.
Wow, some big ones tomorrow.
I tried to get some good ones.
I'm going to go Paul Simon. Who do you got?
I'm going to go Aerosmith.
All right, next one in the chat.
Next one, Aerosmith. Paul Simon, Q Sports Talk chat. You have 10 seconds. I removed a promo. I see Aerosmith from Prince Odie. I don't know if that was... Yeah, we're seeing Aerosmith.
All right, we got to go.
That's it.
Newhouse Afternoons coming up next. Cody at 3, Brian at 4. We're back at noon tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of the day, everybody.
You still thinking job change in the new year?
Yeah, I need something that's in high demand and more...